All right. Hello again. Oh, there we go. Got a couple other people that we're letting in. Give me a second. Let me mute my phone. Here we go. Hi. This is going to be a good one, guys. We have, oh, wow. It's turning to be a full house. Wonderful. All right. So we're going to talk about websites and how we're going to make our website AI friendly and fix our pages so AI can pick us up easier and train the algorithms for it to pick every page of your website faster. Give me a second. I just keep letting people in. There we go. Give me one quick second. Let's get started. This presentation is going to be about 40 minutes. I'll open it up to any questions that you guys might have. If you have questions, feel free to. Am I echoing? Jody says I'm echoing. Oh. Does anybody else hear an echo? Okay. All right. So let's get started. This presentation is going to be about 40 minutes. If you guys have any questions, put it in the chat. If you want to unmute and ask your question, go ahead as well. I'm okay with it. I'm recording this, so it will be on our social media, on our Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and then I will send it to you guys via email as well, so you will have it. I'm Miriam Golubgir. I own Digital Marketing Experts. I'm the Chief Amazement Officer, and yes, that's a made-up title, but I like it. Kind of suits my personality. I come from a background of creativity and a little bit of, well, actually, a little bit of a creativity and a lot of technical expertise. So I look at websites as the core and the foundation of your business, and it basically performs as your brick and mortar store online. And everything that I will tell you is based on the technical side of things and less about creativity. I'm going to check the chat for 1 second, see if there's any. Okay, so it's a Jody. All right, so we're talking about websites today. We're going to talk about why and how AI crawlers interpret pages throughout your website. So when we talk about how AI interpret and analyze your websites, there are a few components that matters the most. AI doesn't look for design. They don't care for design. Design is for the end user that's looking at your website. AI cares about heading. So those are the bigger words that we put on the top of the website, on the top of the pages of the website, and it has different sizes. So if you'll see it says head H1 or H2 or H3. So those are headings. So the hierarchy of those headings are super important. Your content structure is super important as well. Semantic HTML is basically how the code of your website is put together and structured. That's important. Page speed, how fast your pages load on desktop, mobile, and tablet. And if your products and pages that you mentioned on your website are linked properly to each other. This is basically, in a nutshell, what AI is looking for. And we are going to talk about how we're going to make this perfect for you guys. So let's talk about the correct structure of your web pages. So a web page has a few pieces that are super important to have. Number one is your heading, and that's your H1. The top heading, the first heading is H1. Every website should have at least one H1. It's best to leave it as one and don't add in more into it. So if you want to have another heading, you can make it into an H2, which is much smaller, or an H3, which is smaller than that, and it goes all the way to H6, and then from there, it will be a paragraph. So logically, what you want to do is you want to have the first one, which be your big header. What is it that you're trying to sell to me? Is this your service? What are you selling to me? And then a bit of a paragraph of description of what it is you're selling, and then your second heading would be your H2 and then the H3 and goes on with a paragraph. You want to have a very clear paragraph flow. If you want to use AI to write your paragraphs, that's fine. Write them yourself so it has your voice and your tone and your brand into it, and then have AI to optimize it however works for you. I had a conversation yesterday and someone said that AI was messing up with the content that they had, pushed the information into AI to create for them. And they found that this was constant every time they will put information into the AI. So it's important to know that AI is not smarter than you. You're smarter than AI. So make sure if you're putting your content into ChatGPT that it's looked after by yourself and you've looked it and you read it and make sure it's correct. Create descriptive anchor text. What's an anchor text? Anchor text is when you are, for example, selling a shirt and you're talking about the shirt and you want to link this shirt that you're talking about into the product section so that people can go and buy it. That's considered an anchor text. So you're anchoring it. So it's a text that you're setting up a link to it that it will go somewhere else. If you set up this incorrectly, it actually confuses AI when it comes to your website to figure out how things are done. So you want to make sure that this structure that I just mentioned is set up correctly on every page of your website, not just the homepage, every page. Okay, so layout matter very much. So this is where we go back and say, well, okay, yeah, but design does matter, not just to the end user, but also to AI. But it's not that AI is looking at how pretty it looks at it from the structure perspective. So a really effective layout always has a section above, which is, we call it hero or a slider. The hero is always on the top. So this is where your big image is. This is the description. This is just like an image of what your service is that you're providing. And then underneath that, this is where you talk about what problem are you solving. So you can have a big H1 header. Remember the H1 header? And then you can have, okay, so what's the problem you're solving? And then a paragraph about how you're solving that problem. You want to have images, and you want the images to match the content that you're talking about. And you also want to make sure if you're putting visuals, that your visuals have proper text descriptions and captions behind them. So AI can pick up what this image is relating to the content that's on your website. The most important part is a very direct call to action. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to call you? Do you want me to email you? Do you want me to go on the map? What is the plan? And direct call to action could also be either a phone number or it could be a form. So you want to make sure that you have that on every page, because that call to action kind of tells me what I need to do when I come to you. There we go. So we're going to talk about page speed. We live in an era that if it's not going to load within 0.001 second, I am bored and I'm gone. So unfortunately, I'm not the only person that thinks that way. Most AI and crawlers feel the same way. So the core of your website, and what's important and vital, is that you need to make sure that your page speed is high. Because if your page speed is high, it will impact how long they stay on your site, and that's your bounce rate. So a bounce rate is when I come to your website, I stay on your website, I don't leave and I go to different pages. So that means your bounce rate is low. If I come to your website and the page takes forever to load, or it's just pieces of the pages are like X, then they don't come up, I'm leaving. So that means your bounce rate will go up. And higher your bounce rate is, more likely AI are not going to index you. I'm gonna let one more person in. So crawl frequency is how often, if your page is slow, the bot, they're not going to come and crawl your site because it takes too long. So they'll take off and go somewhere else. And if you're running ad, that will affect your ad quality score. And if your ad quality score is low, you will always be lower than your competitors when you're running ads. And that affects your conversion rate, because if your ads are not coming up, your people are not staying on your page, and crawlers are not looking for you, you're not making that money. So you want to make sure that your pages are not slow, because if they are, they're expensive. They're going to cost you money, and not in a positive way. All right. Let's talk about content. when it comes to content, we all think, okay, I have to give either way too much or not so much because I'm worried that they're not going to be reading it or they're going to need more information to read. You need to create a balance. And when you create a balance, you want to make sure that that big message, your value proposition, what is it that you want me to do, is always above the fold, whether it's on a mobile device, tablet, or desktop. So if you're telling me that you want me to call you because you're one of the greatest construction experts, contractors in the world, you got to put that above the fold, and that fold would mean you have to think it through. There's a hero above it, which is the big slider that runs. Do I want to put it on that slider because that's the first thing they will see? Can I make it clickable so when they click, they can call me because I want to have a call to action in there? And if I'm going to do that, what am I going to put under that? And that's where the benefits before feature comes. So what's the benefit of people wanting to work with you? What sets you apart? At least one or two boxes of information. I'm just going to stop here for 1 second. I think there's a question here. Oh. Okay, so let me explain what above the fold is. So above the fold is when you have a screen. There was a question that someone asked if I can clarify what's above the fold. So above the fold is where you see what your screen looks like. And whatever you see in your screen is considered above the fold. And same applies to your mobile device. So whatever you see on that top part of your mobile, that's considered above the fold. Anything else will fall below that. And you want to make sure that that information that you want people to see is up there, not underneath it. So benefits, always put benefits before features. They need to know why. They need to know what sets you apart from your competitors and why they want to buy from you, what makes you better. Then you want to talk about the features. What features are you offering? Are you providing different services? What are those services? You always want to make sure you add in frequently asked questions. AI loves frequently asked questions. Why? Because you, me, and everybody else, we all ask questions from AI. We ask questions about, where can I find this book? Where can I go to? Which restaurants can I go to? Where can I go to buy this lamp? So you want to make sure you have a good amount of frequently asked questions that are related to the services or the products that you're selling. And you can put that near the bottom, and that's perfectly fine because AI knows how to pick it, so you don't need to worry about that being above the fold. So you want to also make sure that the schema-enabled structured data is there, and I'll explain what that is. Hold on, there's another question, I think. Hold on. I'm going to go back to this for a second. Let me see if there's a question. I got to pull this up. There we go. Is it the best to have the frequently page or do it on each page? That's a very good question, Jody. So I recommend having it on, have your own frequently asked question page. That's a great idea. But having few, so what you can do, what makes sense is every page offers a different information. So you can set up frequently asked questions depending on the page that you've set up. And you can also have your frequently asked question on your own existing, like on its own existing page as well. But yeah, it makes sense to have maybe 2 or 3 frequently asked questions at the bottom of every page, and then have the overall frequently asked question page as well. Okay. Let's talk about internal link. Actually, you know what? Let me go back and talk about schema, how a schema works. Oh, shoot, I went too far. Okay, so schema are basically a bunch of codes that we put in on the back end of every page that tells the bot how to come and index this particular page and understand how this particular page works. Now, that schema, when you have a website built in, whether you built it in WordPress or Shopify or BigCommerce or Magento or any other language, Wix, Squarespace, that feature is available on the back end. So when you set it up under the setting or tools, you should be able to see schema enabled, and then you just click it yes. And then, or if you have like an SEO plugin to your website, that feature is in there. So all-in-one SEO or Yoast if you're using for WordPress, um, what is it called? Shopify's SEO, it all has the schema piece into it. So you want to make sure that's always turned on as well. Now, let's talk about internal linking. So, what's an internal linking and what does it matter? So, when someone comes to your website, they kind of want to see everything all at once. And when they want to see everything all at once, this kind of like you got to come up with an architecture of how you're going to link everything together and put them all and structure them properly. So usually they go either into the navigation on top and they click to get where they want, or if they're on the home page, they want to have a link that goes to all the other pages. So what you want to do is you want to create that ability, and also you want to have the ability to create pillar pages. So what does that mean? So let's say let's use me as an example. I own a digital agency. That means under the digital umbrella, I sell different products. I sell web development, web maintenance, social media strategies, SEO. So every one of them, they're separate services. So I have separate service page set up for them. But then under the web development, I have decided that, okay, well, I don't just develop websites under one platform. I do different platforms. So what I've created is different pages that talk about the different platforms that I offer. And that's considered pillar pages. So there are multiple pages that are under one service. So and they kind of support that one service, but they're more information about different services I offer. And this can apply to anybody. Anybody that has different services or products, they can set up pillar pages. Another really good way of setting up pillar pages is actually creating posts. Look, blog posts are great topic clusters, and you can set up pillar pages around them. It's important to have supporting content. So let's say if I'm saying I'm in a web development world and I'm creating websites. Okay, well, what supporting document can I put in there? Can I put in white papers from, I can put in white papers from people that use different plugins on WordPress and explain to them how each one of these plugins work. So these are called supporting content. I have my service pages, and then I've done some work for others in the past. So what I can do is I can create case studies, and based on these case studies, I can kind of showcase what I've done when it comes to, let's say, a website development for a WordPress or a Shopify website. I can showcase that case study. So it's good. This also applies to anybody that, any service that you sell. So unless if you're not allowed to, talk about certain services they've done. So let's say if you're in a finance world, you might not be able to, showcase a case study. You can have look-alike studies built, but not necessarily perhaps talk about the company that you worked with and so forth. But you can create, look-alike studies for that. And then based on all of these pages that you create, you want to strategically linking them together. So if my service page has web development and I have different pages set up under that for different pillars that I've created, different pillar pages I created for WordPress, Shopify, Wix, Square, I can link them all into my service page, which means every time somebody goes to my service page and they read the word Wix, there's a link to that, and that takes them to my pillar page that I've created for Wix. Okay? Did all of that make sense? No questions? Good. Okay, we're moving on. So, schema markups. The schema markups, again, as I said, are codes that we put in the backend and says, hey, come index this particular page for me. So you want to make sure if you have a page related to your organization, products, frequently asked questions, any articles that you created, you want every single one of them to have their own schema set up on the back. If you have a WordPress website, it's really easy to set up a WordPress plugin for SEO, and that should allow you to do that. Aside from that, you can get schema plugins if you need it, or if you're using any other platforms like Wix or Squarespace, they have that feature available. So this is very important to set up because this kind of clarifies it for AI. What am I going and what am I doing? Okay. User experience is called UX. This is where what they see in the front, and then SEO is what we do on the in the back end to optimize for search engines to find your website. So you have to create a balance, which means you have to make it easy not only for your customers to be able to navigate through your website easier, you also have to make it easier for them to get to where they need to go, and there's less friction. So less friction means I gotta be able to get to your shopping cart without having to fill in 3 forms and click on 9 different links to get to it. I need to get to your shopping cart within 1 click, to the checkout within 2 clicks, and pay within 3 clicks. So that's part of like the reducing the friction. You want to make sure that your call to actions are clear. What do you want me to do? You want me to call you? There's a form I need to fill in. How many fields are in the form? Are there 3? Are they 2? Are they 1? Am I going to call you right away, or am I going to fill up a form? Do you want me to, download something? Do I need to click on anything? These are clear call to action placements, and you want to put it strategically throughout the entire website, because if they're moving around your website and they weren't satisfied with the information they got on the homepage, but they were kind of happy by the time they got to the service page, you want them to be able to connect with you right there instead of having to go back to the first page. You want to have a logical flow to your website. What is it you're trying to say? Go back to the first slide, and I'm going to send this to you guys so you can see it. There's your value proposition. There's your benefits, there's your feature, there's your frequently asked questions. You want them to contact you. What do you want them to do after that? If you're selling on an e-commerce platform, what do you want them to do? You want them to see the product, maybe have like a section where they can read a review, user-generated content from other people that have bought this particular product. They're satisfied. 1 click, add to shop, or even check out immediately beside the product, so they can just put it in a cart and check it out right away. So you have to build a logical flow as you go. And these are considered signals, and AI rewards any usability that is fast. So make sure that when you build the site, that it's very user friendly. I'm going to stop for a second and ask a bunch of questions, answer some questions. I want a login for anyone on my website for security reasons. Is that okay? Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Absolutely, that's perfectly fine. Now, when you set up a login, depending on the platform that you're using, you have to also be able to set up proper security from your backend as well. So let's say if you are using WordPress, what I would recommend is to set up a word fence in the backend that kind of like secures your website, and then allow people to create an account from the front end, and that's fine. But that kind of and when you do that, also allow certain people from certain countries to log in to begin with, and allow certain criteria. So one of the things you can definitely do is, if you're using WordPress, is you can use a plugin that allows people to log in using their Gmail address. And since almost practically everybody in this planet has a Gmail address, it actually helps you as well. This is for the copycats. Okay, I don't know what that means. So, but yes, you can set up you can set up a login on that as well. So if you want to unmute and tell me what copycats are, those who come and want to steal ideas. Oh, okay. Well, that's going to happen anyways. But yes, you can totally do that. But that would deter people. So if you're trying to sell your services, and they have to log in order to see your services, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to promote yourself. So just keep that in mind, that if you're making me have to log in, create an account and log in order to see what your website is about, I'm gone. Because usability and the ability to go through a website ongoingly without having to log in as much as possible or give you my information as much as possible is what I would want to do as a user. So, and I'm not the only one, so keep that in mind. Okay. Well, I guess Sheen, if that's what you want to do, yeah. I mean, if Sheen does that, you can totally do that as well. Again, these are all to your discretion. You just have to make sure that this works for you. All right. Let's talk about AI friendly websites. Hold on, there's another. Let's do the one. Okay. Your framework sorry, your framework, your website framework, this is where your structure of the website looks like. Like, usually you guys either have someone design this template for you, or you buy a template, or you pick a template and you go ahead and you put your information in there. So almost all templates at the moment are AI friendly if you're buying them off of ready-made websites like Wix or Squarespace, or Shopify, or even WordPress. So, but what would make sense is to pick one that has a clear structure. And this is where you see the hero, the big slider on top. There's boxes where you can put your information and your benefit in the middle. And, it has boxes for all the pieces that we spoke about. It gives you a map to your location if you want them to come to your location. It gives you, forms to fill in, the ability to set up the pieces that you need to set on the back end. So make sure that it has a clear structure that kind of matches your brand as well. And that's very important. Don't go just for the look, go for usability and ease of use plus a clear, simple structure. You want it to have to be performing fast. So if you are reading the comments for that particular framework, make sure that it's not a heavy framework. Make sure people are saying, yeah, it's very easy to fix and it's fast performing and it's light. You want to be able to build your authority clusters. This is where you create authority clusters or content that you create that sets you apart from all of your competitors. So if you need to make 20 pages, 30 pages, 100 pages, that allows you to do that so you can build those clusters that you want to create. You want to make sure on the back end, you can either put in the plugins that sets up your schema markups, or that it comes with it so you can set that up. And again, all of this is to create that conversion. So what does that conversion look like? And what sort of what's the plan? So if the conversion is I want people to call me, does this framework allows me to put in the form on the side or have a phone number so I can get them to, put the right call to action and get them to connect with me. All right, so what are you guys going to do now? You're going to go on your website and you're going to audit the structure of your website from the front end. You're going to look at it. You're going to say, do I have the hero on top? Do I have the area where I put in my value proposition? Where am I putting my benefit? Where am I putting my features? Where am I putting my frequently asked questions? Where are my products? What sort of information I'm providing on my products? You're going to do a complete audit. And then, depending on where you are in this process, you're going to fix the hierarchies. What's important and what needs to come up to get that customer. Remember, some of the information that's important needs to be above the fold. You're going to look at your device from mobile, from your phone. You're going to look at your website, and then you're going to say, okay, do I have everything I need to say all my call to actions, all my value proposition above the fold? How does it look below the fold? Are the colors easy to navigate? I looked at a website yesterday and it was neon green. My eyes were hurting within 30 seconds of being on the site. Make sure that it works well for everybody and everybody can look at it and it's easy to, be on that site for a long period of time. You want to make sure that it loads fast. And if it doesn't, call up your hosting company. Ask them, how can you improve your website's speed? If you don't have a Cloudflare, get a Cloudflare account. Cloudflare helps improve your website speed. Add in your schemas. If you don't have it, look into plugins that allows you to get the schema set up on the back end, or talk to someone who can help you build the proper schema in the back. And then reorganize your internal links. Plan them. Where are they going to go? Do you want them to go to the service page? Every word that's going to take them to the service page should be hyperlinked with the proper link to the service page. If you want them to contact you, the phone number should have the proper link to it. If you want them to go to any of the pillar pages that you created, you want them to have the link to that as well. All right, let's open this up. There is a big question. April, I'm creating a warehouse sharing marketplace connecting small companies who need space and fulfillment services for larger companies with extra warehouse space and fulfillment. I will be allowing users to browse the available warehouse options, but they cannot book, see all services unless they sign up and complete the boarding process. That's fine. Okay. Is this okay based on your suggestions? Absolutely. Absolutely. So asking people to get on board is perfectly fine. But remember, you want to give them enough breadcrumbs for them to be very interested to get to that sign up piece. So when you showcase what your warehouse marketplace looks like, you want to give them so much information that they're ready. Their brain is saying, "I'm ready. Let's go." Um, and you also want to put in this sign up process almost on all the pages if you can, so that you basically creating a flow. So if they're going to the homepage, they're reading it. I don't know if I really want to do it, but there's a sign up feature right there. I'm going to go look at the other, services that April's providing. I want to see what other warehouses do I get it for smaller, business. How small does my business have to be? You want to answer every question, because as a business owner, I have to sign up and to be part of and be part of your onboarding process. So I need all the questions answered. So you might also want to add in a video, and that will be a really good one as well, to kind of showcase what the warehouse looks like. So I can get a visual of it. And if I see that, oh, wait a minute, if I have just a few items, I can use that room. Or if I have a big one, I can use that room. That would make it easier. So you can put that video. By the way, if you guys have videos, put them on pages. The way you should do the videos, upload the video into YouTube, get the link, embed the link into the website. So your website doesn't get heavy with the videos are usually heavy. So you don't want something that's really heavy on your website. So yeah, that would definitely be an option. And yes, you can totally set up the onboarding in there as well. Oh, this is good. Okay. Any other questions? You guys can unmute if you want and ask. You're welcome.
Hello, it's Jody.
Hi, Jody.
Hi. I took down my website recently because I literally do better in person with shows that I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I took it down and I want to redo a new website, right?
Okay.
And so I just feel it's so necessary and it has to be done properly. And I'm just wondering, do you offer that service? You offer website design?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What do you sell?
I have a spice and tea company.
Spicy tea company. Okay.
Spices, teas, and
Oh,
instant
okay.
beverages.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Get in touch with me. I'm gonna send you this presentation. Get in touch with me and let me show you a couple of things. There's a guy that we worked with, and he sells teas. He does very well for himself. Are you selling it online? Are you planning to do an e-commerce?
Well, I sell it all over Ontario at events.
Okay.
I do a lot of events, festivals, and we also sell our beverages, and we are planning on bottling as well. But we definitely, I would like to step away from doing so many events and rely mostly on e-commerce, but because we're very tired all the time from
Yeah.
being out every weekend. But it is easier when you don't have to ship. So that's the other thing is the fear of the shipping situation, right? Once
Well,
you get all
no.
this awesome and it's running well, you need help with that, you know?
Well, again, if you're building so depending on what system you're using to build your new website, if you're going to be doing a Shopify to sell products, you can incorporate a really easy shipping method, whether you use Canada Post and UPS or Purelator or FedEx. You can set it up and it's super easy to maintain it. All you got to do is even print the labels at home through the
Yeah.
Shopify and then just ship it out. It won't be a problem at all.
Well, we have been on Shopify and I really hate Shopify to be honest with you. I had to me, it was the worst website ever that I couldn't even imagine how bad my website was. And so it did nothing for me at all.
Hmm.
So like I'm moving I'm either going to do Etsy or just and do like Poshmark and Square as well for other stuff that I'm doing. But I thought this presentation was also for AI, like using AI to create a website.
No, you can't. Okay, don't do that. AI is, you always want to, AI is used to, I don't even know how to explain this properly. If you want to build a website, you need to build that hierarchy yourself. You have to create that
Yeah.
structure. And AI won't be able to do that for you because it doesn't understand your customers as well as you understand your customers. AI
Hmm.
will spit out some garbage and then you're then left with, putting more pieces into it to make it user friendly.
Hmm.
Okay, so question was that your question? So
Yeah,
I
I'm good
okay.
now. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna welcome. How can I create a website in a few minutes and not rely on Shopify? You can just use, there's so many tools out there, guys. You guys can use Wix, you can use Squarespace, and you don't have to rely on Shopify. There's so many different platforms. You can do WordPress, but you can't build a website in a few minutes. It takes you that's you got to create it, plan it, plan what you want to put out there, plan your content, what you want to put on the website. So first plan the design of it. That doesn't take a few minutes. And then plan the content that you're going to put on there. That takes a bit of time as well. And then you can pick a template from any service provider that's out there, whether you want to go with Wix or Squarespace or Shopify or WordPress or BigCommerce. They have free plans if you want to use them. And then depending on if you want to provide services or if you want to provide products, it all differs as well. You don't have to use Shopify if you're just doing services that they don't have to pay for it online. But if you're doing e-commerce, Shopify is by far one of the strongest search engine, sorry, e-commerce engines out there. But Square and Wix also work. And then Squarespace also works, so you can do that. But that doesn't, you cannot build a website in a few minutes. It will take a few hours. But then you also don't want to build a website that's done in a few minutes because it won't be as effective. You want something that's well thought out, well planned out, and something that users are going to go on and want to stay on it and want to buy the products and services that you offer. Any other questions? How do I create ads? I mean, create them. How do you create ads? Ads, depending on where you want to advertise, your ads could be on Facebook or YouTube or Google ads. Each one of them are different. It depends on if you want to do search ads or you want to do display ads. Each one will be completely different. If you want, you can connect with me later on and I can explain it better. Any other question, guys?
That was a great presentation, Miriam. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm glad you guys liked it. It was good. I will send you guys everything. Any feedback?
You gave me things I'm going to implement this week.
Fantastic.
Well, not,
Fantastic.
and it's not my place to say this, maybe, but for the person who was asking about developing a website in a few minutes, I run a struggling business whose website has over 1,000 pages, into the thousands. We've been at it for about 5 years, and my website still needs work. So don't underestimate the task. It's a big one. And I
I
couldn't recommend more using something. Maybe Shopify isn't the answer, but something out of the box. We've got a bunch of custom code on our website. And whenever we have a trouble with it, we're hunting around for the violating code. But if you use something off the shelf, you won't have to, you probably won't face the problem in the first place. But if you do, you can easily find where there's trouble being created, because there are thousands of Shopify and other off the shelf offering experts. There's only one person who wrote the custom code.
Yep. And you're absolutely correct. And sometimes, so the other thing is that, as David said so perfectly, if someone writes a code, usually other ethical code developers don't like to touch codes that were written
That's
by
another
others.
good point. Yeah, ethically, they don't want to critique someone else's work. And
No.
often the custom code might be written in another time zone, like
Yep.
Indian Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want a meeting with them, you need to do it at 2 in the morning. Don't
Yep.
be don't be penny wise and pound foolish like I was in my younger days 5 years ago.
No, I totally agree. We've had issues where we even got APIs from another tool. So let's say if you have a website and you decide I'm going to put an API from another tool into my website and embed it, and you do that, and they say, yep, this would work. What they don't know, and this is very important for you guys to know, is that your website template has to be able to accept certain APIs because your template is written in different language than what that API is. So if someone's giving you an API, you do not just blindly add it to your website. Wait, think it through, put it in a staging site where it can be tested, make sure it doesn't mess up your entire website, and then bring it in and put it on. And this is where a lot of people add in calculators. So if you have, let's say, if you have a mortgage company and they're like, oh, there's a mortgage calculator, let's add that in there. This is where the messes happen. Oh, I like it. People are having a conversation in the chat. Any other question, guys? All right. So I'm going to conclude this presentation. I'm going to send you guys the recording and I'm going to send you the presentation. We have a ton of webinars coming next week. So stay tuned for the emails. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a good weekend, everybody. I'll call you, Jody. Okay. Bye, guys.